2023, so good to see you all here this beautiful Tuesday morning. Miss you all over the past few days. Trust that everyone had an excellent New Year's celebration, but it is good to see you all here this beautiful morning. We've got Aaron, Anais, Cecilia, David, Eric, Jessica, John D., Kristen, Christina, Luis, Mark, Melanie Price, Monica Oliver Hall here twice, Robert, Rowan, Charmine, Sonia, Tiffany, Violet, and we're about to let Liz in. It is so good to see you all here this beautiful morning, you all. I'm excited. Feel good this morning. Today's going to be better than yesterday, worse than tomorrow, but you guys are here to look at the market, see what's going on with the market. But I want to show you a few things. As you know, I had a deadline for January 1st to release a lot of improvements on our website, on your personal subdomain. My deadline was January 1st, and we met that deadline. Let me show you a few improvements. I went ahead and did a video, posted that on Facebook. If you're not a member of the Internal Team Price Facebook group, be sure to join the Internal Team Price Facebook group that we use. I post all of the HEB tickets at that Internal Team Price Facebook group. Here is the URL for that group. So be sure to join. If you're not a member, click there, request membership, and I'll let you in. But I post a lot of things there. Things that I don't want to send emails out to everyone. I'll just post it within the Facebook Internal Team Price Facebook group. So be sure to join that. If you're not a member, click on that link and then join that. So let me show you a few things that we updated on our website, and then we will start updating the new listing to pending ratio. So now, and I'm going to borrow someone's personal subdomain. I'm going to borrow Seth because Seth is the only one bold enough to make his camera, open up his camera so that we can all see. Seth, looking great, Seth, by the way. Oh, look at that. We got Oliver Hall in the back. Oliver Hall, both of them here at the office. So this is Seth's personal subdomain. And now, a few things. When you click on active residential listings and you scroll down, you can see active residential listings by city and by zip code. So if you're doing a listing presentation in 78737, you can click there. It'll take you to the active residential listing 78737, and then it has a really nice little property search map built in within that page so that you can look for properties, and your client can look for properties, search, and do all of that. So we did this improvement about 3 weeks ago. This is the improvement that we just finalized in the past 2 days. So really excited. So now, the top three resources that our agents use and our clients use, or especially our agents when you're doing an open house, when you're submitting an offer, going to a listing presentation, top three resources. It's going to be the active residential inventory, the sold price distribution, and the appreciation report. Wouldn't you agree with that? Those are the top. If you're going to a listing presentation, you're taking those three. You're taking the active residential inventory, you're taking the sold price distribution, and you're taking the appreciation. Those are the top three resources. Everything else you can take as a filler, but most times you're looking for those three resources. So right now, give me a zip code. Someone type in a zip code over chat. Give me a zip code. Type in, 78754. So now you can scroll down and you can go to that specific zip code. 78754, you click there. So now you've got these three resources within that zip code. So right now, seth.teamprice.com, Insight and Statistics 78754, and you've got the active residential inventory. You've got the sold price distribution, all for that zip code, and you've got the appreciation year over year. So really excited about this, you all. I know it sounds simple. It looks simple. It's supposed to look simple, but it just takes an obscene amount of work just to tie everything in. So I'm really excited about this. I think it came out really good. And any feedback is greatly appreciated. So any improvement that you want to see on the website, it is greatly appreciated. The other thing that I did right here within Market Cycle, we used to have this chart within the residential price. I moved that from residential price to Market Cycle. It is more Market Cycle specific than residential price specific. So now this is within residential, this is within market cycle instead of residential price. So those are some of the updates that we have done here to the website. Really excited about that. Any additional updates that you all are looking for, please let me know, and I will put that within the pipeline. Now, keep in mind that what I'll do is I'll do minor updates between January and October. Those are minor updates to the website. Those are kind of version 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. And then I will list all of the major updates. So sometimes you all, or I might have a really good idea, but that classifies under a major update. I will wait until November, December in order to launch some of the major updates, mainly because it just takes a lot of time, and November, December tends to be a little bit of a low season in real estate, but that's where I amp up the back-end development of the website so that we can start the year with really good resources. So take a look at it, enjoy your subdomain, take advantage of your subdomain, find ways to utilize your subdomain, and I'm really excited about this. Let me go ahead and just go to the new listing to pending ratio, and let's see what's happened over the past few weeks on this ratio and its update for this past week. And we can see that December 19th through the 26th, we finished that week at 1.10. For some of the newer agents here, what this means, 1 is a perfect market equilibrium. That means that one property came on the market, one property left the market. That's a 1 ratio. 100 properties come in the market, 100 properties leave the market. That's a 1.00 ratio. When you have 100 properties come in the market, but 90 properties leave the market, that's a 0.9 ratio. That means that over time, inventory increases. It builds up. When you've got 100 properties come into the market and 110 properties leave the market, you've got a 1.1 ratio. That means inventory draws down over time. And you can see that inventory drawdown is represented by this negative number. So from the week of December 19 through December 26, we had a drop of 49 listings only when you look at new plus back on the market, and you divide that by or subtract that by the active, under contract, and pending. So you've got new plus back on the market. To get the ratio, you divide it. New plus back on the market divided by anything that went under contract. So anything new or back on the market divided by anything that went under contract gives you the ratio. And then you've got the difference right there. And you can see that we've had 3 weeks in a row where inventory has gone down. And then you add withdrawns and expireds, and you can see that inventory is indeed down. As a matter of fact, if you go to the Insight and Statistics and you click on active residential inventory, you can see that inventory, let's scroll down, month over month is down 14.05%. This is Tuesday, January 3rd. Inventory month over month down 14.5%. And here is the chart representing that drop. We peaked October 28th, 2022 at 11,573 active listings. We are now at, let's see here, 9,118 active listings on the market. Oh, by the way, here's another resource that I went ahead and just created. I created this yesterday because I was actually watching a stat channel for a different state. This person runs a lot of real estate stats off of, I believe he is off of Florida. And he was talking about the percentage of properties that have been in the market for more than 100 days. And I was like, well, that's an interesting piece of data just to keep track. So right there, launched my laptop and I just built this, and this is now going to be a part of the stats. So what this does, it shows you the number of active listings and then percentage of those active listings on the market for less than or equal than 50 days, between 50 and 100 days, and then greater than or equal to 100 days. This is really interesting. I can see why that person was keeping track of that data, and I'm glad that we are now keeping track of this data. Because you can see, let's just pick any city. Let's go to Liberty Hill. 385 active listings on the market. 53.5% of those active listings have been in the market for more than 100 days. We also have this for zip codes. So there we go. So you can see the 78725 zip code, 27 active listings on the market. 25.9 of those active listings have been in the market for less than or equal to 50 days. 22.5 or 22.2 for between 50 and 100 days. And then 51.9% of the 27 active listings on the market for greater than or equal to 100 days. So good information that you may want to take to a listing presentation or whatever the case might be. So this is something new that we are now updating as part of the active residential listing section of the website. Let's go ahead and update this past week. We're going to start with open house. How many open houses were offered between December 26th and January 2nd? December 26th and January 2nd. There's no way that there was a lot of open houses offered. Oh, wow, this is interesting. That's fascinating. 1,847, 1847. I was not expecting that number. More than the previous week. That's amazing. Okay, 1,847 open house offerings between December 26th and January 2nd. Now, let's go ahead and start updating new listings, price increases, price drops back on the market. Keep in mind, this is for the 6-county area, Travis, Williamson, Bastrop, Hayes, Caldwell, along with Burnett counties. December 26th to January 2nd. Number of new listings, it's going to be low, 314. Number of price increases, 59. Price drops, 6. Whoa! Is this right? 603. 603 price drops. 91%, that's the ratio. That went up by quite a bit. That's amazing. 603 price drops from December 26th to January 2nd. Back on the market, how many back on the market? We're looking at 151 back on the market, more than last week. Active under contract, 205. 205. I'm going to go ahead and give you the pending. I'm not going to make you guess. Pending, 182 pending. That puts us at 0.83 ratio. Are we going to get to the 1 ratio? Are agents going to update? Are we going to have 78 additional pending properties? Because see, everything else locks in. The only number that will continue to change is this number right here. This will continue to change. As a matter of fact, let me take a look at pending for the previous week, 19th through the 26th. We're at 266. You see? 266. And let's go the week before that. We're at 389. See, agents do not update the information. Drives me crazy. Let's go from the 5th to the 12th. 451. And let's go from the 28th through the 5th. 386. Look at that. Agents are so bad about updating information. 322. Okay. The ratio is deceptive due to the low new listings, though, correct? Well, yes, to a certain extent, Melanie. I would say this. You are correct in saying that when the number of new listings, I mean, the average drop, is 9.3%. So every single week we're noticing a drop of 10% on the number of new listings. Properties are not entering the market, and they stopped entering the market back in August. This is when we noticed the reversal of new listings entering the market. Well, so let's see what's happening on the monthly basis. This is the monthly. And let me update the pending for December really quick. And that's going to answer your very valid question. So we're looking, okay, 1267, that has not changed. Let's update all of January. I went ahead and updated this information earlier today, but let's go ahead and update the rest of it. Okay, so we got 93, January 93. We've got price increases 12, price decreases 136. That doesn't change. Back on the market. How many back on the market so far? January 41. Active under contract 55. Pending so far this month 21. Nothing closed. Let's do withdrawn. See what's going on with withdrawn and expired. Withdrawn, we've got also 21 withdrawn already. And expired, we have 27. Oh, let's see closed. How many closed so far this month? That can't be right. Yeah, so we still have 0 on closing. We'll just wait until next week to update that. Now, let's take a look at the monthly information right here. Melanie, this is a residential year-over-year month. Year-over-year, same month. So you've got new listings, look at that, since August, down 4.6, 3.7, 13.7, 18.6, and 14.7. So for the month of December, we've had 319 less new listings come on the market compared to December of 2021. So at one point, if everyone decides to stop putting their homes on the market because either they feel like the market is going to improve or they feel like they're just not going to buy a new property because of interest rates, they're just going to maintain their 3.25% rate or 3.5% rate, and they feel like the market is going down in value, so let's hold back. Let's not put our homes on the market. If enough people say that, it certainly seems like that's starting to happen. Well, then over time, inventory starts drawing down. You're now left with a lack of inventory, and we went from 11,000 to 9,100 listings. And at one point, the market starts reversing itself because less people start putting their homes on the market. Too early to tell that that's going to happen because the demand destruction is accelerating. We've had 319 less listings come on the market on the new side, but we've had 1,411 less properties go under contract. That's a 39.2% drop. That's on the sold side. Under contract, 25%, 38% drop. In November, for properties that went under contract on sold, 36% drop on sold. Now let's take a look at some of the graphs. Okay, so we've got the year over year, and you can see this bounce up and down. The market's just erratic. What is going on? So we've got this low 0.75 inventory is building up. It shoots up. Primary reason why this shot up, people stopped putting their homes on the market. The big question, Melanie and everyone else, it's what is going on? Clearly, the market decided not to go active. A lot of people decided not to go active. Is that a permanent decision or is that a temporary decision? If that's a permanent decision and those folks decide not to list it in May, February, March, April, May timeframe, or by May, well then we can expect inventory to continue to draw down. Price drops will stabilize. Prices will stabilize. And we've now identified the benchmark. Okay, we will call, okay, the market reached the bottom. Like, this is it. It's not going to drop by much more because we're not getting new listings on the market. We're now in a neutral market, and the market's not going to fall apart. That's one scenario. That's if these people decide not to relist. If these people that did not list right now decide to list their homes between February, March, April, May, well, now we can expect 14,000, 15,000 active homes on the market. And what will happen with prices? Oh, it'll continue to erode because now you've got more supply. Well, time will tell. It's going to be a very fascinating next few months. Fascinating next few months. Let's go on the monthly side of things, and we can see also, let's just see right here, we've got the monthly. New listing to pending ratio, we're at So according to that, we're at 0.57. Well, let's take a look. This is for, well, let me do this. Oh, here we go. That's what I was looking for. Perfect. This is the monthly information. And we can see that we've been on positive territory. So when you look at the weekly, we can see, look at the difference between weeklies, 1.14, 1.17, 1.13, but we've got this 0.82. But when you look at monthly information, it builds a different narrative. We ended the month of December at 0.98. So we ended the month of December with a net 62 unit gain. November 468, October 1219. So even though we've improved quite a bit by June, July, June was 0.58. We ended the year at 0.98, almost at a perfect market equilibrium. And we've got time to reach that perfect market equilibrium of exactly 1 for the month of December. So let's take a look at some yearly information right here. Let's go to, there we go, new listing to pending ratio. We can see right there 0.98 for the month of December of 2022. And the other thing is this, you're gonna notice that I updated the way that this chart looks. We used to have year on top and then month to the left, and I inverted that. So now we've got month on top and we've got year to the left. It just looks nicer, and I also like being able to add the minimum, the average, the median, and the max for the year. So that's why I did this update. I think it looks a lot better. It gives us a little bit more space to add a few more years. That's why I did that. So this is the new listing to pending ratio going all the way back to January of 2000. We've got total pending properties. And this is where you can see that we ended December of 2022 at 2,425 pending properties. December of 2021, we're at 3,095 pending properties. So we have to go all the way back to 2013, where we had 2,109 to have a December with lower pending properties. Last December, this past December, 2,425. Even 2014, we had 2,484. So you have to go all the way back to 2013. Total pending properties. This is the pending to population ratio. This is where we take the actual population. That number is wrong. I need to fix that number right there. There's no way that number is accurate. So I'll fix that number. I'll see what's going on with that number. Let me see if I update this. Oh, perfect. Now it works. Easy. So there you have it. We are 1.01 pending to population ratio, 1.01. Last December, 1.50. So we have to go all the way back, once again, to 2010 to get a lower pending to population ratio. And take a look at total withdrawn plus expired. Total withdrawn plus expired. 1,485 withdrawn plus expired. 1,485. We have to go all the way back to 2010 to get a higher figure, but it's still well under the 2007, 8, 9 amount, 9 and 10. Well under that. Huge reversal. Last December of 2021, so 2 years ago now, 428 total withdrawn plus expired. This past December, 1,485. Do you remember the percentage of expired and withdrawn properties that are relisted for sale? Do you remember that percentage? What is the percentage of expired and withdrawn that are relisted for sale? Do you remember that? Let me go ahead and open this up for you. There we go. So what I did is I took all of the withdrawn and expired listings from July of 2022. Charmaine said 20, very close, 27.4 to be exact. 1,010 properties were withdrawn or expired July of 2022. And then I looked at all of the subsequent activity. It took about 3 hours to put this together, and I won't do this again. I just wanted a benchmark. I just wanted to use actual information as opposed to just making up figures. My guess was 20%, came out to 27.4. So we looked at a fixed period of time where you had 1,010 properties that were withdrawn and expired. And then over the next 6 months, what happened? How many of those came back on the market? How many of those were listed for lease? And how many of those remained off the market over the next 6 months? 27.4% of the properties were relisted within a 6-month period. So we can safely assume that a lot of these properties, you've got 1254, 1484, 1386, 1485. Let's just say that 20% of those properties are relisted within a 6-month period. Well, we can see that inventory is going to increase quite a bit over the next few months. That's my expectation. Now, look at the residential year summary. For 2022, we had 47,122 new listings. It was better than last year. Well, here's the comparison. 2022 versus 2021, we had 292 additional new listings. So we had an increase in new listings. All of that reversed itself when? In August. So all of the new listings that entered the market were first half of the year as opposed to second half of the year. Second half of the year, everyone waited, everyone paused. Back on the market, we had an increase of 11.7% on back on the market. 7,837 less properties went active under contract in 2022 as opposed to 2021. Isn't that amazing? That's a 24.6% drop. Pending, a 19.5% drop, 2022 versus 2021. Total, 13,330 less properties went under contract last year than the year before. That's a 22.2% drop, and then closed, a 18.6% drop on closed. Let's take a look at leasing really quick. We ended December with 0.77 ratio on leasing, and you can see the difference going all the way back to January. 269, 201, 278, 89, 98, 495, 527. We peaked out at 879. And then you can see that as this number increases, so do price drops. Price drops will follow the increase in inventory. And we can see that December 2022 versus December of 2021, we had a 12.6% increase in new lease listings, 56 more price increases, and 729 more price drops, 64 more back on the market, 45 more active under contract. So we did have an increase in activity. We had 3.5% increase in lease properties that went under contract and an increase in lease properties that leased, but a pretty dramatic increase on properties that came on the market for lease. So where are we market cycle wise? Let me show you. I'm going to go back here, teamprice.com, and you can access this on your personal subdomain also. I'm going to go to Insight, and I'm going to go to Market Cycle. Let's take a look at Market Cycle really quick. Let me increase this a little bit. And I'm going to download and open this up as an actual PDF so that it can take over a larger portion of the screen. There you have it. Where did we end the year or the month? This brings up the point, the very valid point that Violet Leff made last year. which is, well, what's going to happen with the median price and the average price when agents start updating the information? Well, here's the information now. This now answers that question. Agents have now updated most of the information, thankfully, and more is yet to come. But we finished the year. Average sold price for December 2022, $565,767. It dropped $7,491 month over month, and we are negative year over year. So when you look at December of 2021 and you compare that to December 2022, we are negative $37,137. That is a year-over-year drop of 6.2% on the average side. On the median side, we ended the year, December 2022, at $459,990. That is a month-over-month drop of $3,810, 0.8%, and a year-over-year drop of $15,010, a 3.2% month-over-month drop. And we can see that the gray line 2022 crossed the orange line 2021 in the month of November. And we are now selling for less than we did last year. Number of properties sold, we ended December of 2022 with a drop of 39.2% year over year. And here's the year over year average sold price percentage change. You can see that May 2021, record high 44.3% gain year over year. December 2022, we are currently at a negative 6.2%. We all know that the market peaked in May. If you look at the average sold price, May, the average sold price was $681,952. We ended December at $565,767. From peak until December, that is a drop of 17.04%, or $116,000. That's on the average side. On the median side, we peaked at $550. We're currently at $459,990. That is a 16.37% decrease. And you all have seen this. What we do is we take the average month-over-month percentage change and we plot every single month. Green means it went up. Red means that it went down. And then we do the average, right? So I take all of these numbers and I average out these numbers. We do the median and then we do the sum. And then the plus, number of months that you see green, the minus number of months that you see red. And then we do the percentage of months that had a price drop as opposed to a price increase. And you can see that we ended the year at a 0.5% average price drop. That is a 20-year high, 22 to be exact. We ended the year at a 1.7% median price drop. That is also a 22-year high. And then we ended the year at a 5.5% sum. So when I add all of these figures, that's the sum. And we ended the year at a 5.5% drop. And that is also a high. On the percentage side, 67%, that is not a high. A high is reserved for 2009. We just had more months go negative than positive in 2009. But with December ending at negative 1.3%, it now marks the third December out of 22 Decembers where we actually turned negative. So the big question and the big unknown, it's where does it go? Where in the world does it go? We are here. This is where we are now. And maybe it stays flat. Maybe it goes up. And maybe it goes down. We have no idea. Moving forward, it's just guesses. Just guesses. The interesting thing is going to be what happens with the folks that purchase properties right here. Let me go ahead and just, what happens with folks right here? Between February and July, the folks that paid, 678, 681. That's going to be, so we've got 2,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. So we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 20. So you've got roughly 20,000 folks that purchased their properties between February and July. And they better not want to sell anytime soon. Now, the folks that paid cash, they can take a hit. They can take a dramatic hit. They're still going to lose money. They're not going to get all their money back. But they can take a hit. The folks that put 20% down, it's going to be very tough. Because the market only has to go down by 10% before they're underwater because there's an 8% cost to resell. Realtors get paid 6%, ideally, hopefully. And then you've got title insurance, you've got concessions, you've got all of that. So if the market only goes down by 10%, then they're underwater already. But right now, we're not noticing that the market is going down by 10%. Overall, these are all average and median figures. We're already experiencing a 17% drop. Now, some zip codes, it's a 5% drop. In other zip codes, it's a 25% drop. Mark said, not only those that paid top dollar, but those that installed a pool or some huge upgrade. I agree, Mark. That's a very good point. Very good point. Anibal said, Dan, what is the probability according to the indicators that it goes up or down? It's a very good question, Anibal. And I'm going to use a few different charts to answer that question. One of them is this. Well, let me show you a few other things really quick, actually. I'm going to go to the sold to list price ratio. Let me go ahead and just download this really quick so it can take up the entire screen. We're currently at 96.28% sold to list price ratio. This is where we are historically, going all the way back to January of 2000. The 22-year sold to list price ratio average is 98.3. We're at 96.28% right now. We maxed out at 109.46. And we can see the dramatic shift on the sold to list price ratio when you look at certain cities and then also when you look at certain zip codes. So let's go to zip codes really quick. And you can see, let's take a look at a few. Let's take a look at 78724. We maxed out at 107.4 sold to list price ratio. We're at 95.5% right now. Look at 78730. We maxed out at 109.1. We're at 93.8% sold to list price ratio. 78746, we're at 92.3% sold to list price ratio. Is that the lowest one? 92.3? I believe that is indeed the lowest one. Yes, it is. 78746 has the lowest sold to list price ratio right now. 78746 at 92.3%. 0.3% sold to list price ratio. So I wanted to share that with you, but the chart, Anibal, that I rely on the most to see whether or not the market will go down more is this one. It's the percentage of income, the median household income going towards a monthly mortgage payment. So what I do is I do 20% down. I take the prevailing rate at the time, and I use the median sold price. So the median sold price, what's the mortgage? If you were to take an average mortgage with 20% down, with a median price, how much of your income, your median household income, would go to that mortgage? Right now, the mortgage payment would be $3,416 for the median price of a house in the Austin area. This is the 6-county radius. This is 6-county. Travis, Williamson, Hayes, Caldwell, and Burnet. Now, I use the Travis County household income. I don't use the 6-county household income. I only use the Travis County household income, which it's a little bit inflated. But my rationale of using the Travis County household income is that you've got folks that live in Austin, or they live in Burnet, but they work in Austin. So they make Travis County income, but they live in Williamson County, or they live in Hayes County. So I'm using Travis County household income. Right now, the percentage is 48.79. It maxed out right around 53, almost 54%. So we already dropped from 54% to 48.79%. Part of that drop, well, rates have actually trended down a little bit. Trended down just by a tad. I just received Robert's rate sheet. Let me take a look at what his rate sheet says. Received Robert in Scott's rate sheet. So we're at 6.625% right now with Robert, and we're at 6.625% also with Scott. And let's take a look really quick on the 30-year average rate that I'm using to calculate all this, 30-year fixed mortgage rate, and I'm using 6.54. So I'm using a rate that's just a little bit less. This is the average for the previous week, 6.54. This is the rate that I'm using to calculate this right here. So, Anibal, I am absolutely convinced, because history tells me to be convinced of this, that this line will return to that dotted line. That dotted line stands at 27.71%, roughly 28%. I'll throw it up and I'll say 30%. I'm convinced that that line is going to drop to the 30% mark. Absolutely convinced of it. It'll take time. But this line drops down to 30% because of 3 reasons. One of them, interest rates go down. If your interest rate goes down, your monthly mortgage payment goes down even if prices remain the same. Therefore, this line has to go down. So that's one reason. The other reason, income goes up. If income doubles, well, then this line falls by half because you have more to work with. The percentage of your income going towards the mortgage is going to drop because your income went up. Well, incomes are not going to double. Not going to happen. So you've got interest rates going down, income going up, and then the third factor are prices going down. Now, a combination of those 3 factors are going to take place, but it's going to be 80% of it on prices going down. The main reason why this line is going to drop, and this is mean regression theory, that everything returns to its historical mean. The main reason why this line is going to drop is going to be because of pricing. And we've already experienced a decent amount. If you look at the median price drop, we're at 16.37%. Right, keep in mind, and let's take a look at some of these other tools and resources to discern what's happened in the past. But the single biggest price drop that we had in 2011 year over year was 7.5. So we had a 7.5% price drop year over year, July of 2011. We're already at a 6.2 year over year. Now, from peak to bottom, right now, we're already at anywhere from 15 to 17%. And from peak to bottom last time around, when you look at peak to bottom there, we were like at 9%. So we're already at 17. So how much more do we have? Well, time will tell. Time will tell. This is where we are now. And when you superimpose that to this chart, phases in an economic bubble, this is where we get. So maybe we'll miss a bull trap. Maybe we won't go back up. Maybe that was it. There was a little bit of a bump right there. Yeah, you see that little tiny little bump right there? Maybe that was the bull trap. See this tiny little thing? Maybe that was the bull trap. But this is where, fascinating how the chart just matches almost to a T. And this chart was created back in 2008. The factor that will change all of this, Anibal, and really everyone else, new listings. Going back to this right here. Let's go to new listings right there. Number of new listings. If enough people in the Austin area decide to not list their homes, just to hunker down and just stay in their properties, then prices will stabilize because new inventory will stabilize. If enough people say, okay, let's just hunker down a little bit, well, then prices will absolutely stabilize. Personally, I'm not convinced that that's going to happen. I think we're going to have a lot of inventory come on the market come March, April, May timeframe. That's my personal prediction, that we're going to see a pretty substantial increase in inventory come on the market first, second quarter of this year. If you look at, let me go back here to Insight and Statistics for Lease, and you look at market cycle for lease, we are now on our fourth month, and this was just updated yesterday. We're in the fourth month where month over month we're now starting to see prices going down. The lease market peaked at 2,300. On the median side, it's now at 2,200. That might not sound like a lot. Like, oh, it's just $100. That's a huge difference. That is a massive difference. That'd be like a $230,000 property selling for $220,000. That's a big difference. It's a very big difference. And when you multiply that by 12, it's $1,200. $1,200 a month, or a year, a year, that landlord is missing out on leasing. When you look at the average, the market peaked at $2,571 and you're at $2,402. That's a $169 difference per month. And that's on the leasing side. And that's with total lease properties. Look at that. We've had a 17% drop month over month on the total leased properties. Before that, it was 15 and 2 and 19 and 12. So we've had a drop on the number of leased properties. Now, year over year, we're still up. We're still up year over year. The leasing market is lagging to the sales market. So we are still up year over year. But because now the median price and the average price is going down on the leasing side, if you look at cap rates, right there, cap rate, you're going to notice that we just reached a record low cap rate difference. What that is, that's the average cap rate in the Austin area minus the 6-month T-bill constant maturity. And we're at, right now, a negative 1.37%. And that's a record low in history of Austin real estate. The lower this number is, the more investors are not going to see Austin attractive. So the cutoff line for investors to come back into the Austin area is when this line crosses over this one. That's when you see this line going back up and it crosses that 1% difference, that's when investors come back. Now, you cross that 1% difference by one of two things. Either the 4-month yield, which is this, the 6-month treasury, I said 4 months, I meant 6 months. The 6-month treasury, either this number goes down, either this goes down underneath this blue, which is the Austin area cap rate. So either the blue goes up. Well, how does the blue go up? By prices going down. See, the blue goes up either by rental rates going down or by prices going down. Well, rental rates are not going down, or the rental amount, right? They're not going up. They're going down. So there's no way that this line, the cap rate, is going to go up if rental amounts are going down. That's impossible. Well, the other way that this line goes up is by what? By prices going down at an accelerated rate than rental prices going down. Then the blue line goes up. So if the 6-month treasury stays flat, then the only way for the blue line to go over that 6-month treasury is by rental prices going up. That's not happening. Or prices going down at an accelerated rate than rental prices. That's what's happening right now. That's why you saw the line go up a little bit right there, just up a little bit, but not enough because the 6-month treasury yield went up even more than that. That's why it went negative. And you can see negative 1.37. And you can see that the NOI, the net operating income, actually went down from $15,668 to $14,714. All right, look at the gross rent. The gross rent maxed out at $27,600. It's at $26,400 right now. This is the Austin area gross rent. So when this line right here, this is the big one, and even for you, for your own personal investment, hey, the deal of a lifetime comes around once a day in real estate. If you find a deal, go for it. But as a whole, at the macro level, it's not going to be attractive until we go over that 1% line. At the macro level, it just will not be attractive. Let's look at a few more things. What time is it? 10:56. Let's look at a few more things right here, and then we will call it a day. Christina said, how long will that take? 2 to 3 years? It's a good question, Christina. You know, the big unknown, see, we don't have a free market. We don't have a free market. We have a central planning, monetary, and fiscal policy environment where the market is subject to these big highs and big lows based on central planning. So the reason it's so hard to answer that question is because this rate, this 6-month treasury rate, is heavily influenced by what the Fed is doing. Now, the Fed has done a really good job this past year. I'll give Jerome Powell credit. He has increased the overnight lending rate, fastest in history, while not tipping the entire market into a catastrophic depression recession. And at the beginning of last year, the consensus was if you increase the overnight lending rate this fast, you're going to tip us into a catastrophic recession. That was the consensus. That didn't happen. Got to give him credit. You know, so far, personally, I'm impressed. Now, I'm impressed that he's fixing a problem that he caused, but I'm still impressed. He's doing a good job fixing the problem he caused, but I'm still impressed. Very much so, actually. Got to give him credit. So far, I think he's done a good job. Very good job, for that matter. And the good thing about where he stands right now is that if for some reason the economic indicators this year start tipping us into a recession, he's got some room to play because he increased rates so much that now he can pull back a little bit. He can pull back a little bit. And he's still at a pretty aggressive rate. We still have inflation, still dealing with inflation. Hopefully we've seen the top of it. Hopefully from now it just slowly goes down. I wish it would be faster. I mean, I went and bought eggs this week and couldn't believe it. It was like $6.50 for eggs. I mean, I'm going to start buying chickens. I could not believe the cost of eggs. Couldn't believe it. So clearly we still have inflation. I mean, I was like, what? Y'all, I'm serious. I could not believe it. I was absolutely shocked. And we were like a big egg-eating family. So I don't know. Someone's going to have to give there. I'm going to have to buy some chickens. So let's take a look at some of the economic indicators that are happening this week. And if the economic indicators shift into more of a recessionary environment, he's got some room to lower the rate. And if he lowers the rate under the Austin area cap rate, which will go up as prices start going down, then what happens? Well, we could be at the 1% level, Christina, in 6 months. We could. We absolutely could be at that level in 6 months. No doubt about that. Or not. A lot of it depends on what in the world are they going to do. That's why there's a term in banking. You don't fight the Fed. You don't fight the Fed. This is not a free market system. This is a central planned system. You don't fight the Fed. So this week we have construction spending up 0.2%. That's good. Forecast was negative 0.4%. We've got 6-month bill auction. Oh, that came in a little bit harder than expected. Now that we have the 6-month bill auction, what I have to do is I have to look at the 6-month constant maturity, 6-month constant maturity bill, constant maturity treasury rates. Take a look at this really quick. That's at 4.76 right now. Because it's at 4.76, I have to update this one little number right here. You see 4.732. This little number gets updated to 4.76 on Thursday, which means what? It's a higher number. If it's a higher number, the spread is wider. That means that you need to pay less for a property so that you can, that's a desired cap rate. I always use the 6-month constant maturity T-bill yield as the desired cap rate for an investment property. Been doing that for years. It just works. So I'm going to update this number to 4.76 on Thursday because of this right here. 6-month bill auction just came in at 4.635. Now you might be asking me, well, why are you doing 6.76 when the auction was 6.35? Well, because this is a one-time figure. Now this 6-month bill gets traded. It gets traded on a constant maturity yield basis. That's why I use the constant maturity yield. Tomorrow, we've got mortgage data, manufacturing. This is big right here. JOLT. JOLT stands for Job Opening Labor Turnover Report. How many jobs are available? Total vehicle sales. That's important. We've got ADP, non-farm payroll employment. You know, that's the other thing that's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of brouhaha that happened last year with the Bureau of Labor and Statistics employment figure. One of the local Federal Reserve banks audited the Bureau for Labor and Statistics job creation numbers, and then they found out that it was a little bit inflated. Did y'all read that? Did y'all read that headline or no? Did anyone read that headline? BLS job numbers inflated audit. Let's see here. Or maybe it's the job numbers inflated. No, come on. Where is it? 10,000 jobs fed. I'll find it for you. But turns out it was a little bit off. So job numbers off BLS. Okay, I think I found it. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to try to get a Washington Times. Is Washington Times fairly? Okay, so there we go. It was the Philadelphia Fed. They're having me sign in. What a pain. Okay, so here we go. Philadelphia Fed. The Philadelphia Fed audited the numbers for the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Okay, so you have the Philadelphia Fed's new assessment shows that employment numbers in 29 states and the District of Columbia were significantly lower than the Bureau of Labor and Statistics reported for the March through June period. The BLS, a division of the Department of Labor, estimated a net job growth of 1,047,000 jobs in the second quarter. The Philadelphia Fed now says its data shows that 10,500 net jobs were created in that period. So it's just off by a little bit, not by much. I mean, roughly a little over 1 million. I mean, that I could see us making that kind of mistake. So there's a big thing going on right now in the whole BLS division of like, wait a second here. How in the world can you guys be that far off? And the Philadelphia Fed, like, hey, I mean, we were looking at these numbers and we're like, this doesn't make any sense. How in the world were 1 million jobs created? Like, we're not seeing that in our numbers. So they audited those figures and they're like, no, like that's not even close. Like we show that 10,500 jobs are created, not 1,040,000 something jobs are created. So there's a lot going on right now with jobs. Like what are they counting as jobs? Are people doing part-time jobs twice? So a lot going on there. So who knows? So we've got some job reports coming out on Thursday. That's going to be a really important day. Crude oil inventory, that's always important. And then you've got labor. This week is all about labor. Friday, non-farm payroll participation rate. U6. U6 means broad unemployment as opposed to more like a narrow unemployment. So if people are they're not employed, but they stop seeking for a job, they're like, I'm just not going to find a job right now. They're not considered unemployed on the official unemployment rate, but they'll be counted as the broad unemployment. Underemployed people are counted on the U6 broad unemployment figure. So we're going to have a huge day here on Friday. So what's happening with the bond market right now? Let's take a look at the bond market. We are down 4.5 basis points. Down 4.5 basis points. Let me go ahead and just make this all one screen so you can see. Okay, so let's go past 5 days. So we started the day quite a bit down. We ended last year at 3.880, and we started the day at 3.765. We dropped all the way down to 3.728. We're currently at 3.784. Only one reason behind that, there was a bond rally that happened in the European market, so we just caught some of the excitement for when the European market closed. That's really the only reason why our bond market started off so low, some excitement from the European market. Otherwise, you all, that's what time is it? It's 11:08. That is all that I have. I want to remind you that this month, January of 2023, is Market Report Month. And it is one of the most important market report months in your entire real estate career. If you don't have a custom QR code, please request one. Send me an email. I will create a custom QR code for you so that you can send over market reports. And because this is such an important month for market reports, I decided to offer a live in-person workshop, training, call it whatever you want. Well, let me go back to it. Where is it? There we go. I decided to offer an in-person market report live workshop. I will not be Zooming that. I'm not going to be Zooming that because we got the recordings. The whole point of doing the live in-person market report workshop is to hand walk you through the process. So if you then want to watch it over Zoom, well, then just watch the recording. So you can follow the recording if you want, but this is right here. We're doing this for the folks that are like, hey, I love the recordings. Recordings are great, but I really need someone to just hand walk me through the process. Like the click here, everyone stop, click here, everyone stop, click here. So that right there is what we're going to be doing tomorrow. I don't care if one person shows up. I don't care if 0 people show up. If there's one person, it's worth it. And you're going to have one-on-one with that one person. Now, here's the requirement. You have to have Office 365. You have to have Office 365. Microsoft Office 365. You can get the personal edition. Let's kind of go there, buy now. Let's see the personal. Let's see what's going on right here. Family personal. You can get this one right here. If you just want one person, Microsoft 365 personal for only $69.99 per year. You can do it monthly if you want. You can do $6.99 a month. Okay, so I'm going to click on. That's what you need. You need Microsoft 365 personal. Please, I beg you, download and install that before you come to the meeting, or else we're going to waste 45 minutes, an hour, just downloading and installing and finding your credit card and plugging it. It's like a 2 gig file. So I don't support Open Office, or if you're like, well, but it works really well with Google Sheets, you're on your own. I will completely support Microsoft 365 family or personal, same thing. But if you want to do Open Office, if you want to do whatever else, if you are a Mac user and you want to use Apple's version of it, then you're 100% on your own. Does that make sense? Or if you bought a version of Excel on eBay for $10 and it was supposed to work great, awesome. You're welcome to do that. But you're on 100% on your own. Does that make sense? Crystal clear? People tend to confuse like, hey, I don't know that you were clear. So I want to be crystal clear. Okay, we do have a tax question. Yes, please ask your tax question.
So with the drops in prices we're seeing,
yes,
how much does the taxing district appraisals like really play ball if you provide them with information that your house is going to be less, like especially if it's, again, my client that has a property that they're thinking about renting and losing the homestead exemption, and the valuation for the house is like insane currently on the tax board. So how much do they really go down if you try to negotiate it down or like provide data?
It really depends on the person that you get. Melanie does an exceptional job getting her tax amount down, and I used to be amazing at it. I was on like a 3-year winning streak with my tax protest, and then boy, I lost the touch. I don't know what it was. I lost the touch. I've been on now a 3-year complete losing streak. They don't even look me. They treat me like absolute garbage. I don't know what I did, but word got out somehow or another. I must have cut someone in traffic or something, and they remember my license plate because it's easy to remember. But they've been brutal to me over the past 3 years. Now, when you're looking at the sales having been drastically down over the past quarter. The challenge with the taxing authority, Liz, is that they can use any comparables going back all of last year. So you could have that Open Door property that went down by $300,000, and they could say, well, that's great, but here's another one that went up by $250,000 that sold in May. And you can say, well, but the market changed since then. And they're going to look at you like, no, same market, same year. No, I mean, this is a comparable. So, no, we're going to use this one. They can absolutely say that. And they will say that. They will. I've seen it happen, and they will absolutely say that. They can use any sold property that is a comparable going back all the way to January of last year. And you and I both know, how was the market between January and August? Unbelievable, killer, amazing market. And they can use those comps without a doubt. Now, if you don't like what they're saying, you can go before the arbitration committee and all that. Some people have a great experience and good luck there. Other people, it just doesn't work at all.
And if it's a property that you're having as a homestead and you purchase another property and it's like at the beginning of the year, does that homestead exemption immediately leave kind of once you move out?
Well, if you're applying for, no, it won't immediately move out. It won't immediately move out because, I mean, you're going to have your assessment period, then you're going to have your equalization period. Now, what could happen if they were to apply to their homestead for their new property, as soon as they buy their new property, then they absolutely could very well drop the homestead, or they would drop the homestead because you can only carry one homestead. They would drop the homestead for their existing property, and now that property is not going to be subject to the 10% cap. So what I've seen people do and get away with is that they stay on that property. They stay on that property that they're keeping, but that they have like that 5-year homestead on. They stay there until the equalization period on the tax appraisal scheduled is done. And it's like, okay, now this is your amount. And it's 10% cap. And then they buy the new property, and then they move into the new property as their homestead. So that's what I've seen people do. Does that make sense? Because they don't want to risk losing.
Yeah, I just feel like you probably have to time it pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. Because they don't want to risk losing that 10% cap. They want to ride out that 10% cap for another year. Because once you convert that to a non-homestead, if you've been in the property for 10 years, and your tax assessed value is $400,000, but the market value is $800,000, for example. Once that homestead is gone, the tax assessed value can go up to that $800,000 mark overnight.
Well, luckily it's not that big of a gap because I've only been in the house 3 years, but it would still be like a difference between like $411 and $590 according to the tax board.
Yeah, it's a pretty big difference. Now, for all of the homestead folks, and this is something that we all keep in mind, and it's a little bit brutal for us. Let me go ahead and just make my screen white so I can draw on it. The challenge for us is this. All right, the market has appreciated, let's say like this. But because of our homestead cap, and let me choose blue as a different line, our homestead cap made it to where our assessed value is this. So this is what we get taxed on. The blue is what we get taxed on. This is market value, and this is assessed. And this is market. Let me go ahead and just draw market, MKT. All right, so you've got market value, you've got assessed value because of our 10% cap. Now we're in a situation where the market is going down. So let's just say that you protest your taxes. Let me choose a different color. I'm going to choose green. You protest your taxes and you're able to get your market value down to this amount. Well, what will the appraisal department do? They will increase your assessed value 10%. So even though the market dropped 10%, your taxes still went up 10%. Does that make sense? People don't realize this. People with Homestead, they're like, oh, the market's down 15%. That's great. My taxes are going down. And then you go and you look at their taxes like, well, no, they won't. They'll go up 10% because the market value went down by 17, but your assessed value in relation to the market value has a 30% spread. So the market has to go down for 3 years before these two lines meet. You only start saving money after the market value is lower than the assessed value. This is a huge misnomer that people have. Huge misnomer. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I'll tell you, even last year when we bought our house and still did the valuation they gave us came in well over, even with an appraisal, they still went slightly over the appraisal that we had on the property that was like significantly lower than their original appraised value.
Yeah, there you go. There you have it. There you have it. That's exactly it. Any other questions? Any other questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, or complaints? Okay, good stuff. Just out of curiosity, or actually, you know what? Send me a text message. Send me a text message if you plan on joining the live workshop tomorrow, just so I can, or send me an email. Text message or email is fine, just so that I can get a sense of how many people are going to be there. So send me a text message or an email if you plan on joining the live workshop tomorrow. Otherwise, have an excellent rest of your day. Be sure to work on your market report. Look at that. Melanie said, I'm done. So glad. That's awesome, Melanie. That's absolutely awesome. Work on your market reports. If you don't have to attend the workshop to learn the market report, please start doing your market reports no matter what. Don't think about, well, I wonder if I should send it to this person, to that person. Send it. This is market report season. I beg you, please send your market reports. Aaron, thank you so very much. I appreciate you joining. And let's see, Aaron, Anibal, Cecilia, Eric, Jen, John D, Kevin, Kristen, Christina, Liz, Louise, Mark, Michael, Monica, Oliver, Rob, Robert, Rowan, Sonia, and Violet. Thank you so very much. Have an excellent, fantastic day, and I will chat with you tomorrow. If I don't see you tomorrow right here at our live in-person market report workshop, then I will see you over Zoom for our meeting. Oh, actually, I want to do this really quick before too many people leave. We still have quite a few people. This is a calendar for the year. And this right here will show you obviously the block off dates, but you're going to see anytime we have a gray, we actually don't have a meeting. So next week, I will be in Alaska. I will be in Alaska from Wednesday the 11th until Tuesday the 17th. I will be in Alaska. I will be in Anchorage, Alaska. My daughter has a hockey tournament, an outdoor hockey tournament in Anchorage, Alaska. So I do plan on updating the stats. I'll still continue to do all the updates. You have all the updates. So I don't know what the internet access is going to be like or anything like that, but that right there is going to be like a blocked off week. If I have super reliable internet access, I mean, I might do maybe something on Friday the 13th, but realistically, it's super packed and I want to enjoy that time with her. It's once in a lifetime opportunity for her, but that week right there. So from Wednesday the 11th until I arrive at 5 a.m. on Wednesday, and I do plan on being at work Wednesday, but I land at 5 a.m. and I told Gail and Talitha, drop me off at work and then go home and sleep. So, but I do plan on being here on the 18th, so want to remind you of that. And that's all I have. I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, I will see you on Friday. Have an excellent rest of your day. Let me end the recording on 3, 2, and 1.